SC examinations, commonly known as matric, of course, have become an annual event of major public significance in South Africa. It not only signifies the culmination of 12 years and possibly even more sometimes of formal schooling, but the NSC examination is one of the key barometers for the state of our education system. As you all know, the results were released by the Education Minister last night, and true to predictions, the 2013 examination results surpassed all previous results since 1994. Well, here to break it down for us and give us her thoughts and analysis on the outcomes is Dr Lee Rusznyak from the Wits University School of Education. A warm welcome to Morning Live. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much and welcome to you.
First question, what do you make of the pass rate? It's said to be the best since 94.
It is. It is up from what it's been, and I think that there's been significant improvements over the last 5 years, especially. We're looking at Mpumalanga, that's really come from the late 50s up to now, reaching the national pass rate. But I do think that this number, this magic number of a pass rate, needs to be unpacked and needs to be understood a lot more fully in terms of what it is showing, what it's not showing, and what we can assume from about the quality of education from this pass rate.
And that's exactly why you're here this morning, to break that down for us. Is this an accurate reflection of the state of our education system? The matric results, can we take that and say we're on the right track?
I think that there's signs that showing, that we're cautiously optimistic. My concern is that the 78.2% is really only reflecting those who wrote the matric, who wrote the examinations. So if you look at the census figures from the time that this group were 7-year-olds, so, at the 2001 census, we actually see that about 56% of the then 6-year-olds have made it to this point. So the other 41% somehow has either not entered the schooling system or has dropped out along the way. We do know that, of course, schooling is only compulsory up to the age of 15 or the end of grade 9, but what we are saying then at the end of the day is that 78.2% of matriculants who reached the grade 12 have walked away with a certificate that really indicates that they have completed their schooling at secondary level.
Another key issue is the quality, whether or not it means university entrance and what kind of doors or what kind of passes we're talking about here. That's a key issue. It's not just about how many people have passed, but how they've passed.
Absolutely. In the past, when we had the matric system, basically there were two very clear-cut bars, and that was the standard matric and the matric with exemption. The National Senior Certificate works on a different system. It has various grades of pass, various levels of pass. So you've heard about the bachelor pass. Now that simply means that at least 4 designated subjects have been passed with a rate of above 50%. Now that doesn't necessarily give the candidates access into tertiary education. So if you took the minimum pass of a bachelor's in NSC, it would amount to an equivalent of 16 admission points into university. Now, universities are basically finding that students without, in the region of 27, 30 points, do not cope with tertiary studies. So I think that that's where the confusion is coming around.
So we've taken a holistic look, and I mean, Peter Ndoro will be speaking to the Minister of Basic Education in just a moment, talking about the issues of maths and science as well, and also that 30 to 40% in some subjects pass mark. So that also continues to be a bone of contention, and we'll look at that a little bit later because we've run out of time, unfortunately, for this discussion. But we go to the Eastern Cape now. That's where we find our reporter Abongile Damako in the Eastern Cape at Cowan High School. That school has managed to improve its matric pass rate significantly over the past 4 years, having achieved a 73% pass rate in 2012. In 2011, they stood at a meager 48%, and even lower 34% back in 2010. So it was a huge jump. Let's speak to the principal as well about their expectations, their measures taken to improve the results. So it's a very good morning to you, Abongile. What can you tell us about the 2013 results at that particular school? All right, I don't know if Abongile can hear me at the moment. Abongile, I know that you are standing by, so we will cross to you a little bit later once you get everything in place. No doubt some excited matriculants hovering over Abongile or wanting to find out what's happening there. But let's carry on with this conversation, why don't we, Doctor? Let's talk about the issue of the key subjects, your maths and science.
Okay, I'd like to say something about the maths, because very often the trade-off for schools, for parents, for the grade 12s themselves is whether to risk a pass in mathematics or get a safe pass in maths literacy, whereas the mathematics pass rates are in the region of 58 to 56%, the maths literacy pass rates are, of course, much higher, sitting in the early 80s. But the thing is that maths literacy, although it teaches the school learners how to use maths in their everyday lives, it does not give the disciplinary knowledge that opens the kind of doors for students and counts a lot in terms of their tertiary studies. But having said that, it certainly does contribute, a pass in maths literacy contributes to the admission points.
But pure maths holds more water, unfortunately.
It does.
Or fortunately for those who've passed it.
Yes. So that continues to be a critical issue.
It does, and I'll imagine, as does the issue of the pass mark per subject. I know 30% in some subjects, 40% in others. Some analysts and critics saying that's just way too low.
Well, I think that what we need to remember is that the National Senior Certificate is really you have completed school. It doesn't say much about the quality and the competence. It's just you've completed school. When you look at the quality or the competences again, you need to look at the class of pass, whether this candidate has passed with a bachelor's pass, a diploma pass, and so on. But as I've said, it's misleading because the admission points required by the universities and the minimum of a bachelor's pass are two very different kettle of fish.
I'm going to have to thank you for your time. We can go on and on about this. Dr. Lee Rusznyak from Wits University. And of course, we continue focusing on all things matric and education with the Basic Education Minister standing by with Peter Ndoro in 4.